CBS 12 News starts now with breaking news.
Now at 11, a waiting game. This time last week, we were preparing for a monster Category 5 storm to make landfall on the east coast of Florida.
That's right. Luckily, Hurricane Dorian stayed off the coast, but now that storm, it's gaining strength and heading north. It was just upgraded to a Category 3 hurricane. The eye now set on the Carolinas.
And you can see just how big this hurricane is. Impacts still being felt from North Florida all the way up to North Carolina, where officials say Dorian could make landfall.
People in the Carolinas already started boarding up their homes and businesses waiting for Dorian's arrival.
We have live team coverage tonight from the brand new video out of the Bahamas to the local relief efforts underway and why we could soon be seeing more Bahamians settling down here in Florida. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Aaron Christensen with the new track. Aaron?
That's right. As you mentioned, it is back up to a Category 3 monster. Those winds have increased, now sustained at 115 miles per hour, the gusts at 140 miles per hour. And you guys recall just a day or two ago how we were hoping and watching and praying for that little turn. Well, that's what the folks along the coast of South Carolina are doing here this evening. It is tracking to the north at 7 miles per hour, but they're waiting for that northeasterly turn to happen, and it is forecast to happen come tomorrow as it just kind of rounds the coast here between 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 p.m. and then it will come dangerously close to the coast of North Carolina come late Thursday into Friday. We're going to have to watch this very, very carefully because we could still see a U.S. landfall. Here's the latest European model, and it does already have those outer rain bands moving all the way through the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas. We put it into motion for you, and sure enough, we do see it off the coast of South Carolina within 24 hours, off the coast of North Carolina within 36 to 48 hours. But notice how much more inland those heavy rain bands move from what we experienced here in South Florida. We also know the bigger the storm, the more water it can push ashore, especially where we have those onshore winds. And we are expecting hurricane force winds to start moving into Charleston, gusts at 92 miles per hour come late tomorrow morning as it hugs the coast near Wilmington. 80-mile-an-hour gusts come Friday morning. And then look at this, over 100-mile-per-hour gusts as it comes dangerously close to the North Carolina coast by Friday at 12:30. Storm surge in some places close to 10 feet. But Dorian's not alone. We're tracking a lot of other elements in the tropics. We'll have that coming up.
Thanks, Aaron. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll check in with a reporter in Georgia and see what the conditions are like as Dorian heads up the coast.
Well, while Dorian is no longer a big threat to us here in South Florida, it left behind a trail of destruction and death. So far now, 20 people have been killed. Officials say that number is expected to rise.
CBS 12's Thomas Forster continues our team coverage tonight. He joins us in the newsroom with exclusive video of a local mission, one of the first to bring relief supplies to the Bahamas. Thomas?
Yeah, Liz and Jim, while search and rescue missions are well underway, a nonprofit group and pilot are making sure their supplies will not only land safely, but given to those who need it the most.
Having gone to Puerto Rico after Maria, very similar conditions.
This is exclusive video obtained by CBS 12 News showing pilot Alex Andus, one of many people around South Florida who are stepping up and doing what they can to help the Bahamas. He's part of a local nonprofit group from Royal Palm Beach who have partnered with a nonprofit in the Bahamas to help those residents in need by conducting relief flights using a Black Hawk helicopter, which eliminates the need for an airport and is capable of landing anywhere on the islands. Andus says this mission is one of many to come.
And we ran our first load of supplies. It was water, chainsaws, MREs, canned food to the marina so they could be distributed from there.
The Coast Guard just released this video showing residents being rescued in the Bahamas. They didn't say where the rescues took place. However, they are helping support the Bahamian Emergency Management and the Defense Force. So far, the Coast Guard says they have rescued a total of 114 people and 6 pets from the devastated string of islands. And they'll keep flying into the hardest hit parts of the Bahamas for as long as they are needed. Now, Jim and Liz, let's be clear. This team has government clearance to run these relief missions, and they plan to fly 4 or 5 missions a day. Guys?
All right, thanks, Thomas. Well, soon we could be seeing more Bahamians in South Florida. There's a new push right now by lawmakers to allow Bahamians fleeing Dorian's destruction to settle right here in Florida.
CBS 12's Jay O'Brien joins us live. And Jay, you spoke with one family about those potential immigration changes. What did they have to say?
Listen, Jim, from where we are in Riviera Beach, we're about 88 miles from Freeport in the Bahamas, one of the areas hardest hit by Hurricane Dorian. We spoke with one local woman, as you said, who was raised in Freeport, about what her family is currently seeing on the ground and about changes to bring Bahamians safely to Florida.
This is video of the Coast Guard.
Sandy Collier is dialed into the situation in the Bahamas. She showed us video after video from her parents, brothers, and sisters. This is a makeshift rescue attempt her brother recorded. Cutting through water, he's beeping the horn to coax people onto the backhoe to take them to safety. All of Sandy's family returned to scarred but intact homes, some of the lucky ones.
For most of them, they're still in shock as to the magnitude of the storm and how long it stayed over them.
But thousands sprawled across this transformed paradise have nowhere to go. It's the reason Senators Marco Rubio and Rick Scott wrote this letter to President Trump, asking the president to lift certain visa requirements to let Bahamians with family in the U.S. seek shelter faster in places like Florida.
There's a huge connection between South Florida and the Bahamas.
Sandy agrees with resettling refugees in the short term, but says most Bahamians she knows won't want to move permanently.
They don't like to leave their homeland. They love their island. They like to travel, go places, and they like to come back and go home. The Bahamas is paradise. They love that. We need to rebuild paradise.
It's, of course, up to President Trump as to what restrictions to visa programs he wants to roll back or change. There is late-breaking news on that tonight. Senator Rick Scott tweeted a little bit ago that he spoke with President Trump, and the president vowed to work with him on Bahamian relief efforts. In Riviera Beach, I'm Jay O'Brien, CBS 12 News.
Thanks, Jay. And stay tuned for another story on the Bahamas, a local family business that has roots there. What they said, what it was like watching the hurricane destroy their home while they were unable to do anything about it. That is coming up.
And while we were all rushing to stock up on supplies and protect our homes from Dorian this past weekend, a local family was dealing with an entirely different tragedy.
Deputies say a man broke into a Royal Palm Beach home and shot and killed a father of 3, all while his fiancée and young children were asleep. CBS 12's Nyla Charles joins us live at St. Mary's Medical Center, where deputies say the suspect is being watched after the victim's neighbor tried to intervene. Nyla?
The victim was just 38 years old. I spoke to his fiancee tonight, and she says she's still trying to cope. She's so scarred that she's moving out of the house where he was killed, and she says it's too difficult for her to go on camera. PBSO says this man, 20-year-old Javier Medina Tamayo, is now recovering from a gunshot wound to the leg after he was caught running away from the scene of a burglary in this quiet neighborhood in Royal Palm Beach. His alleged crime, much worse than the injury he received. Deputies say he broke into a home on Linda Court Saturday night while a soon-to-be married couple were sleeping inside. The police report says Tamayo broke in through a sliding door, shot and killed 38-year-old Enrique Blanco, then took off with his wallet and jewelry, all while Blanco's fiancée ran out of the house in fear. Deputies say Tamayo shot at a neighbor that confronted him on his way out, but missed. That neighbor returned fire, landing Tamayo in the hospital. It's possible that Tamayo will face elevated charges since the alleged crime happened during a state of emergency. PBSO says right now he's in stable condition, and once he gets released from the hospital, he'll be booked into jail. For now, reporting from West Palm Beach, Nyla Charles, CBS 12 News.
Next at 11, looking back at your hurricane preparations, could you have survived the aftermath of a Cat 5 storm? The Facebook post that opened my eyes and made me realize my storm prep was woefully inadequate.
Plus, taking advantage during the storm, just how many reports of price gouging there were in Florida, and the local places possibly trying to rip its customers off.
And coming up right after CBS 12 News at 11, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Tonight's guest, in his first late-night TV appearance since announcing his 2020 run, former Vice President Joe Biden. Here's a first look at the clip of tonight's show.
In the last few weeks, you've confused New Hampshire for Vermont, said Bobby Kennedy and MLK were assassinated in the late 70s, assured us I'm not going nuts. Follow-up question, are you going nuts?
Well, look, the reason I came on the Jimmy Kimmel Show is because I'm not. I mean,